Right guys, so I don't even know what to label this video. I don't even know what to call it. I don't know how it's going to come across, but when you get inspired to look at something indirectly, you have to give them a shout out. So what it is that I'm back on X or Twitter. You can see the link, it'll be in the description, but it's also in the page itself as a link and in the about section. It's even been in a recent post, so please give us a follow on there. You'll see stuff like me that's going through my crazy head every day, whether you want to or not. But Juicy and Lucy, both on there, reached out, and you can see why they were inspiration, because when you see the content about old England and maps and different things, this is me just delving at this word Albion. And if most of you don't know, Albion was an old name used for England. Well, I've done my spell etymology on it, and it's revealed so much. And this is, with them, is what has inspired this video. So I always like to give people a shout out if they've helped me to come to a conclusion, whether they've done it on purpose or not. It's still nice to give someone a shout out. So this video is, I don't know what to call it, a spell etymology. I look at things weird in the world of giants and different things, and looking at the myth and folklore of this isle that I live on. So hopefully you'll enjoy. Hopefully. So I want to look at the word Albion, but I always like to show you what, if you took the time and typed it in, what would come back, to save you the time. But you can always, I always recommend you go and look anyway. So Albion is the ancient poetic name for Great Britain, derived from a Celtic root meaning white, likely referring to the striking white cliffs of Dover, hence why I've put the cliffs of Dover on the screen to give you a feel. A prominent landmark visible from mainland Europe. The name was passed from Celts, Gauls to Greeks to Romans, evolving from the Proto-Celtic albiu, meaning to Latin albus, meaning white. While Romans linked it to Dover's cliff, the Proto-Indo-European, the Pi root, the pirates, might also mean the bright world, a broader reference to the land itself. I can't remember the UK being bright. It may be back in the day. So if you look a bit deeper, obviously how we just mentioned, the origins and the meanings, the Celtic roots, albiu, A-L-B-I-I-U, is the source. White land, and the name is thought to stem from the root for white or bright. Some then have attached that to the White Cliffs of Dover. The most popular theory is that it reckons it's because it's a key feature seen from Europe. Remember, keys, doors, all those things. It's also known as the gateway also. Bright world, another possibility, is more of a general meaning referring to the sunlit land as opposed to the underworld. So this is when it started getting intriguing for me. And historical usage, the ancient name used by Greeks is this, what we're talking about today, Albion. The Romans as the earliest known name for Britain. It remains a poetic or historical term for Britain, England, or the British Isles. It can be various one of those 3 or 4. And Romans adopted it, explaining it via the word albus to mean white. Albiu or Albu became Alba in Gaelic and Irish, name still used for Scotland. So you can just see what they say Albion is. So also I'll do my breakdown. There's something I want to bring to you straight away in a minute. That blew my mind. So what got me all excited when I looked at the etymology for Albion? Well, as you know, and I've put a screenshot from a video 4 or 5 videos back where I talk about how a lot of what has been shown to us by other brilliant content creators, like in regards to the Squatterman, the plasma, could all be in fact something totally different. And I have been on a kick of, in the sense of, we're living in a cave, a chamber, an hourglass shape, and most of you will know this, and so this is fresh in my mind. So when I look at the etymology for Albion, then I come across this. So I'll show you on the screen now. So keep in your mind like all the stuff that I've done lately, So when I say Albion, so it's the island that I'm currently living on, its etymology as this, meaning the world above, or the visible world. The interpretation contrasts the sunlit world of the living with the dark underworld. So you can see why I get excited. The land that I am currently living in could in fact be the hourglass, as proof in its name. It says right there, one of the proposed etymological roots for Albion means the world above. As above, so below, all that talk. So it fits into the hourglass and it's the island I'm living on. That blew me away, and it showed you guys that, hey, just look at the places where you live and the etymology, and just look where I'm living. It talks about it being the world above. Can you see why it got me excited, and why I'm going to try and fit a few things into this video to emphasize this and ask the question, why? Why? So from all videos, I wanted to show you this. I'm not going to show you a clip, I'm just going to show you what I put in them. So when we look at where we are in this land, and here's a map on the left, just look right at the centre. So you can say it's the heart of sorts. This location, Leicester, has an impressive arch, as you can see in this this newspaper, but also has what is known as the Temple of Janus on this realm. The actual to his name. He has many epithets and names and various, but his own name is Janus, is being used for this specific location. And when we had those crazy lockdowns, it was the first ones to go back into lockdown. So this is significant, and I did a video about this showing all those locations that were going back early into the lockdown all had significant arches in their location. So I'll show you an old image now. You can just see there is what is the jury wall. It's basically a Roman bath, but it got associated because of its arches. That's what they say, them becoming a temple to Janus. I believe it's more than that, because there's something significant about this location in the centre, the heart of this basically world above, the in-between, because as you know, Janus is a god of transitions, the in-between, and the nearby street is called Holy Bones. And why label it that location? Is there some bones or something in regard to giants or something in this location of a saint? You name it, there's something specific that made them call these locations Holy Bones, the Janus Wall, the Jury Wall, the Janus Temple. And this place, it just blew me away. I just can't get that over the fact that it's called the world above, or the visible world. That has got me excited. So you saw a little bit of the breakdown of Albion, and obviously what took my breath away and gave me the goosebumps was actually breaking down of Albion to show that it means world above. So that also includes stuff like the underworld and the netherworld and things like this that I will get into. But I wanted to break it down like I do normally, to see if I could come up with anything that could raise an eyebrow, just like that Albion did. So here goes, guys. I have to include this because it wouldn't be fair, would it, if I just used what they said and the narrative of what they are trying to push in that spell, being the world above. So I broke it down, and you can see on the screen as above. So Albion became Albion, because as you know, A and L Romanized can be swapped. You found it throughout history. AL can become EL. So obviously that then gives you a little eye raised brow, doesn't it? God, the Elohim, and we've always talked in recent videos and over the past of a group of gods being put in charge, or something godly, something divine, because it could also be giants or anything that you want to be, or it can be something evil. It could, there's various ways on looking at it. So AL can become EL. But what's fascinating and will make some of you go, wow, because it did me, is what bion means. So obviously you can be bionic and things like this. But the name bion comes from the ancient Greek meaning life or living one. And it's derived from the Greek word bios, which you have on your computers, don't you? The BIOS. So in computer terms, BIOS, basic input-output system, is a fundamental firmware on your motherboard that starts your computer, runs the power on self and all stuff like that to check hardware, and loads the operating system. So it's significant any way you look at it. So now you have AL becoming EL, something God, something divine, etc., etc. And bion meaning life or living one. But also if you look at it from the Greek bios, all what I've just mentioned. So the Greek root for bios meaning life, living or existence. You also got connotations meaning vitality, energy, philosophical inquiry, and a connection to nature. And there's also historical figures associated with Bion. A chap called Bion of Borcines is like a philosopher. And in modern usage, Bion can come from bionic, meaning cyborg or robot. So you have some intriguing things there, haven't you? That you have Albion meaning the world above, talking the spiritual realm. Any realm that you want to see it as above, so below, it's significant. And we have got now Elohim or Lord, God, and the Bion meaning the living one. That should make you go, wow. So I want to carry this on a little bit. Because when you start to say the living one, I know some people who watch this channel will have thought of this Bible verse. So guys, I know some of you out there would have thought of this verse after hearing me saying El or God, the living one, because there is a Bible verse in Revelation, as you can see, I am, and you know I've traced that I am also to Janus or Janus, how you want to pronounce it, because of M meaning memory, wave, because the oldest name and a name used for different types of gods is IA. So you have IA there, I am. I am the living one. I was dead, and now look, I am alive and forever and ever, and I hold the keys of death and Hades. So you have the mention of Albion now being God, the living one. And now that Bible verse is ringing true, because if you look at keys together, two keys together, and I've just crunched it a little bit to fit it on the screen with that, two keys together is the two keys to obviously death, Hades, or you could be heaven and hell. It can be the Vatican keys, obviously I've talked about a lot, but they represent the doorway, the gateway, and its reflection is 11, the two numbers. You can see I've put it on the screen, so you have two keys looking at 11. Let's have a look at what happens when we change those keys, those 11s, the doorway, the pathway, to red. And let's just see, let's just play together. If we just play around and put them together. Oh wait, it represents a certain flag. That is eventually, because obviously it came from Genoa, which is named after Janus. You know, the two-faced god, the keeper of the keys, the janitor, but also now the St. George's flag and the dragon and Albion, because obviously it's used as the flag of England now. That should blow your mind. There's got to be something in that, because it's just blew my hair right off. Not like I had any. So I just briefly mentioned Genoa, and that is where I originally found Janus. And the connections I found to that in the City of London is remarkable. Basically, we talk about City of London as the banking system. Well, in Genoa, which is named after Janus, it means to kneel. And remember that ritual where in the pandemic, They all wear face masks and they all knelt. That was their direct link to Janus. It was paying them homage, as they say. It was a ritual to Janus. No one else shows you this, apart from my crazy head and channel. But the reason it's intriguing is when we talk about the banking system, Genoa is basically the birthplace of Western capitalism. Crazy, huh? And when we talk about, like the link on the page shows you, while modern capitalism basically talks about the industrial revolution that happened in Britain, Genoa was a crucial incubator. It was where it happened for the earliest capitalist ideas and practices during the late Middle Ages and the Renaissance, so that far back. Pioneering financial tools like bills and exchange, banking systems, and the bank it all started was Casa di San Giorgio. Yes, in English that is the Bank of St. George, and there's an image on your screen for you now. So all this, they started before the 17th century. It was like the 12th, 13th century it started, that far back. And that is how I got into looking and researching Janos, because obviously the town is named after him. But as we're talking about this video on Albion and the world above, and I've talked about the supernatural, I've talked about the underworld, in Celtic tradition there is, and this is where it gets crazy because this connects both. I've just showed you the flags of the City of London. Basically Genoa, they're using Genoa's flag. What we were told is that, hey, they had one of the best navies at the time, Genoa, and the so-called King of England paid Genoa for the usage of their flag on the ships as safe passage. That is what we said. But when we start looking at the other world and the underworld and the world above, could I find inspiration for what could be the true purpose of the flag? And I found it, I think. I'll show you now. So what you're seeing on the screen is a rendition of what is known as the White Hounds of Annwn, and it's pronounced Annwn, but phonetically and how you pronounce it, as I think it is because I've checked, is Annwn, Ahnoon, Annwn. Sounds like Atum, doesn't it? And as you know, you can see they have red ears and white. Does that sound familiar? Can you see where the links are? So, Annwn, the otherworld of Welsh mythology, does not have a single specific official symbol. Instead, it is mostly strongly associated with certain animals and natural phenomena mentioned in mythology. It is tied to the white stag in Celtic cultures. The appearance of the white stag was considered a message of the sign of the existence of Annwn, and the forces from the otherworld were present. Like Phil, Prince of David, first encounters Aran, he's the king or the lord of Annwn, while hunting a white stag. And here's the intriguing thing also. The hounds of Annwn are the spectral hounds of the otherworld, described as having white fur, red ears, which is a reversal of the natural colouring that marks them as otherworldly. They are the dogs of Aran, the king or the lord of the underworld, and he hunts for souls of the dead. The howling a portent eerie sign of their presence. And here's the other thing. The colour red is associated with the otherworld in general, seen as the red ears and of the Annwn. White and red, guys. White and red. I've talked about how Albion means the world above. So the other world, the colours are red and white. Does that sound familiar? Oh, wait. It's the flag that I've been talking about. So this is what's got me. Yes, there is a direct link with banking and all that, but could possibly this other world, this mythology, this Annwn, the colours are red and white, and that's on the flag. It gives me the chills just thinking of that. Have I just uncovered the other world, the world above, the world below? And it's the flag, it's representing the other world. Mind is blown. So before I carry on, I just want to tie a little thing into what I've just been talking about in regard to the other world, Annwn. is it a coincidence, or is it just me looking too deep into it? Probably. That a lot of the royal houses have white stags and obviously white hounds in the heraldic coat of arms. Is there a connection there? Are they paying homage like I was talking about, or is it just me looking too deep? It could be both, it could be neither. Anyway, so let's go back to this, what you're seeing on the screen, because I was slightly going away from what the video was about. Is basically looking at the spell etymology of Albion. And there's also a few other myths or reasons for it being called Albion, and I'm going to get into that now. And one of them is what you're seeing on the screen. Again, coincidentally, that these sisters see a white stag or white hart, as it's known, in its image. And it's a story about Albina, Albina, and they reckon, in medieval traditions, reckon Albion was named after Albina. Now, here's a tale for you, and I'm going to just read it out from the web, so you can get anywhere you want. There's various descriptions of how many the sisters were, ranging from 29, which is intriguing because it's a hidden 11, to 33, which, if you look at the boroughs of London, with the City of London, there's 33 boroughs that I talked about many, many years ago. So let's get to this little tale and see what you think. So guys, I read out the tale of Albina, but it was just too long. So I'm just going to paraphrase and save yourself 20 to half an hour listening to me falling asleep. So I want to basically cut it all down, so I'm just talking to you and you'll get the gist of why Albion is said to be named after Albina. So the story starts of Brutus of Troy coming over from a dream. So he was led over here by Diana in a dream. Diana is connected to London in my sense of being connected to Janus, because Diana is an epithet of Janus. Also, London was named Lundane from the Welsh because of the temple to Diana. So there's a connection to Janus and all that good stuff I've covered in various videos. So basically he comes over here told, hey, there's 24 giants of Albion over here. So he goes about killing all the giants till there's one left, basically, and that is Gog Magog. Now I always get these mixed up because there's Gog and Magog from the Bible and Revelation, but this giant is Gog from Magog, hence Gog Magog. Anyway, so he agrees to fight Brutus' champion, but before they do, Brutus wants to know where the giants came from, and this is a tale told to him, according to medieval folklore, of how giants came to be on Albion. So what the basically tale is, there were 33 or 29, so you can see why 29 took my attention. 29 is hidden 11, but also the 33 is because they can't agree, which is the London boroughs. Anyway, so the tale goes that Albina and her sisters were forced into marriage, a part of the tradition, etc. of that time. Those sisters being peed off, between all of them hatched a plan that they would murder their husbands as an act of defiance. And they would do this all on the same night. All of them agreed, bar one, the younger sister, who was happily in love with the husband that she was married to. He loved her also. So she was distraught and eventually told her husband, and he took her to meet the king, and it all came out. So the shit hit the fan, as they say. So what happened? He basically banished all the sisters bar the one he pardoned, who told him of the plan. So what he did, he put them in the boat with no masts, no sails, no food, no water. He took them out into the ocean and let basically the gods, the fate, decide if they lived or not. And how the story goes is that they were basically out adrift and came to an old ancient realm full of green, and as you can see from the image that is provided, it was hatched that Albion, being the oldest, would set foot on the island, and thus becoming the oldest, the island was named after Albina, and it was named Albion. So that is how it got its name. So after the old, disembarked the ship, basically they found nuts, berries and things like this. They kept themselves alive, natural springs, and they hatched a plan between them that they would agree that Albina, being the eldest and how it was named after her, would become the ruler. They looked for other civilizations, could not find anything, but felt they were being watched. So as the story goes, as I'm talking, they basically settle on this island of Albina, but unknown to them, at night they were being visited by basically incubi. And they're like succubi, I think they're called succubi. They were visited by incubi, basically like a succubus, who in the dreams appeared to them as, beautiful men. But all these ladies were tall. So that's one thing in the story that you get from these were tall ladies. Albina was the tallest. It doesn't say how tall, but it just says they were very tall for that era. So these ladies were visited in the night by these incubi, the succubus, and they were basically impregnated by these so-called demons. And the result was, you got it, giants. So that's the story of how Albion became, by this folklore, land of the giants, because these incubi, succubi mated basically with the sisters, the 29 sisters, or 28, whatever it is, who was left, and bore giants. So this is Gog Magog talking about this. Yes, that's how we became, and it talks about how all the giants couldn't unite and started fighting each other, and then there was only one left. So that is like the tale of how the Albion was known as the land of the giants, and how it was named after Albion, was after Albina, the princess from either Greece or Syria, who was a tall lady, so mated with succubus. So you can see how intriguing that part of the folklore is, and what connects like Gog Magog with the city of London is things like this.
Sculptor David Evans puts the finishing touches to two old friends of Londoners, Gog and Magog. 12 years ago, effigies of the two giants were destroyed when the city's Guildhall was blitzed. But now, exact replicas copied from models are all set to go back to town to take their place. Outside Guildhall, where Gog and Magog have made their home since the reign of Henry V, crowds welcome their return. Weighing 3/4 of a ton each and standing 9'3", they dwarf the onlookers. Although no one's sure why they should live in Guildhall at all, it's certainly like old times to have Gog and Magog in London again.
So you just saw that about the Guildhall having Gog and Magog, whether they were separate entities or two, like they were in the Bible, who knows? But I found it fascinating that they're emphasising and no one knows why they have a tie to giants. Well, other giants in Albion's folklore is obviously Jack the Giant Killer. Now you have an image on the left of it. I think it's St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall, supposedly the location where Jack killed and wrestled and buried a giant. There's images of the giant having 3 heads, which caught my eye because obviously of the Janus link. But this island, St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall, the island which Jack the Giant Killer wrestled or wrested from an oversized man named Cormoran, has been given to the British National Trust to be preserved as historical site and tourist attraction. There may be more truth in history than fiction in the old nursery tale. The evidence some 200 years ago, whenever this article was written, the skeleton of a man who in life stood around 8 feet tall was found in a narrow dungeon cut in the solid rock of the island. To this day, the visitor can see beside the steep cobbled path leading up to the castle, the pit where Jack trapped his foe. So there's a tale of obviously giants in this realm. So could there be connections with giants like Gog and Magog of being why the crest, the colour is red and white? So I briefly wanted to carry on because I found just before I finished another tale about Noah and his sons. Let me just get the names now. Japheth and Ham, supposedly both coming to this island. And that piqued me interest because obviously, were they tall? Were they giants? Because you do see images of Noah being up to 15 feet tall. You can search it. I mean, a lot of people are talking about how tall he was. So that got me interested. For most of you who've been with me for a while will know Janus is also Noah. And you can go back and see it in old images and books. Now you've got to say, were they the same person? But here's the twist. Janus and Noah were both known as, you got it, the first shipbuilders. That's what Janus' name he has on coins. And here you have Noah, Italy and the Sea Peoples. In his Origine della Legina Fiorentina, originally published in 1549, Pier Francesco Giambarulia makes an astonishing claim that the language of Dante takes its origin from Hebrew, brought to Italy by Noah, the inventor of wine, who is known as Janus. And you can see images of Janus holding grapevines. So everyone, when you really look into it, is saying Noah and Janus are one in the same. So, is there more to this? Right. So, I just looked and I've put it on the screen for you to peruse at your leisure. The phrase Noah was red and white, or white and red, or whatever way you want to look at it, comes from the ancient extra-biblical texts like the Book of Enoch, part of the Dead Sea Scrolls, which describes baby Noah having skin white as snow and red as rose. White hair and bright eyes. Some people talk to him and link him to being like an albino. Now, we've got all connections here, white and red. Is this flag that I've been talking about being linked to England and Genoa? Basically, in regard to Noah, he's being white and red. Because when you look at the crest of Genoa with Janus, because they're one in the same, everything seems to just be copy and paste and a slightly little twist. Both of these places had the first shipbuilder, both named Noah and Janus. Both have the same colour, crests, flags. Basically, near enough everything is one in the same. And then had the first banking system, did Genoa. Then London became the hub for it. And I had to edit this in because I nearly forgot what was in the Bank of England. Only a Janus mosaic. And you can see it on the floor. And then on the right, you can see an image of it, or basically what it is. And it's an old image of one of the governors of the bank in the time. But I've showed you all the connections over the years. And come on, I've showed you connections between the banking system and this place. And they've even got Janus on the floor. How many more things do you need to show a person to show you everything is connected? And I'm not way of the mark, I'm on the mark. And you can see all the links that I'm talking about in today. So this was just a little spin and a play on it to finish off with, because I could have carried on and on and on, but we were just talking about giants. You had Jack and the Giant Killer, and then you had Noah being tied to being a giant. Janus was a giant. When you say giant, that is basically Janus's name. Gian, John, Little John is another epithet of it. It is crazy when you find these links. So I just wanted to show you them all together and then finish there, and I'll go to my thoughts now.
Yeah, they call me the black sheep. You know they call me the black sheep.
Hello and welcome. Right guys, hopefully you're all doing good. I don't like to hear about anyone's not doing good, but hey, life is shit, and hopefully you see me making myself look a fool doing these videos will bring a smile to your face, or you enjoy them. You know, as long as people are getting something from these videos, it really means a lot. And I want to pay that back sometimes in regard to, hey, I got inspired to do this video indirectly from Juicy and Lucy, and they were commenting and talking, and when you see that people's posts, the word Albion shot out to me, and I thought, you know what, if anything, I've never looked at that word. I've always took it for granted. Let's see what I can find. Firstly, if any of you guys are on Twitter or X, please give me a follow. The link is in the actual site now. On the OG Black Sheep researcher. I would appreciate the love and support. And you can see what I'm talking about from day to day. And also, I'm sick of seeing the same old posts. History is a lie. We know it's a lie. But come on, have a look at something different. So give us all a follow on there if you can. I would truly appreciate it. So I got inspired to look at the word Albion. And I know this video is all over the place. But that's just how my mind works. So unfortunately, it's how I project and put it into everything gets crammed in. And sometimes my mind runs off on a tangent. And that's what happens with the video. So I have to rein myself in sometimes. Like I say in the video multiple times, I just get too excited. This is what I love and I love doing. I have no barriers. Information is just exciting to me. And I want to look at all of it. I want to contradict myself. I want to look at something else. And that's just who we am. And I'm not going to change for anyone. So if you don't like someone admitting the wrong and don't like, look, take in with the information follows, don't watch this channel or video because I'm all over the place. So when I looked at Albion, I didn't even have to break it down, and you got stuff of Land of the Giants. You have all the things, the basic things that you find that are covered. Then when you just start looking a little bit deeper, you saw that Albion meant world above. Now, are they just talking about the cliffs? And basically, that's what it basically was, wasn't it? In the basic etymology, although they reckon it's the White Cliffs of Dover, the gateway to Europe. Don't mention gates to me. And I thought, is that it? You know, there's got to be something, because from doing these past videos, a few videos ago when I'm talking about the dragon lines, the ley lines, the ley lines, the lie lines, the doors, I'm looking at it. Why is GMT, you know, the time, the dates, all coming from this little tiny island? Because have you ever wondered that? Why is it? What is the significance? Why are they doing it? And now I know why. It's just plain to say, I believe this is like the epicenter of... Do you know when people talk about the veil is thinner sometimes in the witching hour and different things? I think that the veil is so thin here. This is what the epicenter, this is the doorway. You've got other doorways, but this is like the convergence of the cross, the door. And that is what I believe just from looking at this, because you know I've been looking at the cave system. We live in a cave, a chamber, the doorway, a cellar, a prison. And then I find like this realm, this island that I'm living on, talks about being the world above, and it's both the world of the supernatural and what we class as the normal, natural realm are converging. Because obviously you know about the fairy folk and different things about this realm. We've always had these tales. And now I just know why. Because it's the world above. Now, are we in between the world and above and the supernatural? Are we in purgatory? All these things I've covered in my videos. But then when you start looking at this and then finding out the actual etymology tells you it's called the world above. And they're trying to cover over that. So we are basically so thin with the other world, which is the Welsh underworld. In that Celtic tradition, that just blew me away. I'm like, wow, the other world. And is this why they adopted that flag? Because it's always got me. Because we've always been known as a naval, one of the best naval. And you know, naval means the centre. So there's a neat connection with that, because that's what naval means, isn't it? Then we're supposed to have, oh, we have the best navy. But back in the day, we didn't. And a little town, city called Genoa had one of the best armies. Them and, was it Milan, I think it was. on the opposite side of Italy. They were at battle. Anyway, this town supposedly sold them the rights to fly the flag. Doesn't make sense, doesn't it? If we're the be and end all, why would you do that? That's always intrigued me, and I think it was one of the kings who did that, who has the stag and that on his crest. Because these questions just always get me. Why? Because we know that the city is tied to the corporation, which is now, I know I'm delving more into it, could be two, or well, there's many possibilities. Is it the supernatural council basically running the show, supernatural beings of whatever nature, demons, otherworldly things running the show? Or is it the vice versa, good people, but the world is not good? So it can't be that, because it seems like we're living in a shithole at the minute. Is it worlds seeping through? Because the otherworldly in Welsh tradition, I believe, was good, supposed to be good and healing and different things, and it doesn't look like what we have. But maybe things have been spinned and rebound, and we're talking about the 11s, the boundaries, the doorways, the gateways. I mean, I did a post that it just got me intriguing. Let me just find it on my thingy the other day. I was talking about, it talks about in the beginning was the word. So where's it gone? So I basically posted the other day, and this is on Twitter X. I've been thinking, and this is why I've been thinking, because I've been making this video for the last few weeks. I've been thinking that what holds the realms together, the natural and the otherworldly, is the magic itself. It's why it acts as a door between worlds. It's the magic of the word itself, the word itself. Word anagrams into DORW, which is an old archaic spelling of the door. So when we see that famous verse from the Bible in John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Word anagrams into door. So in the beginning was the door. And you've also got doors tied to knowledge, gnosis of the ledge, gnosis, knowledge of the door. Know the doors. Everything becomes so easy. That's why you need the skeleton key. Now, is that gained through knowledge? I don't know. So you're seeing the intriguing nature of what I've been looking at over the last couple of years and seeing about ley lines being known as lie lines. What they're lying about, is it actually what we've been talking about? They've been lying about the purpose, or is it about the fact that they've changed something down? But is it just the reality that we live in? That in some places, the other world and the underworld, whatever you want to call it, there is no veil, and it's seeping through. And this is what I'm talking about in regard to Albion, then going to what we talk about today, and people are flying the English flag, the white and the red, the cross, the 11. Is that basically a symbol of either what's red normally is red associated with blood, and the white of purity? But could it, like I showed you in the video, be representing the natural and the supernatural, or the natural and the other world, the realms together, conversion with the cross, and basically all the lines, ley lines, and then you have the Greenwich mean stuff, the meridian. And if you remember from the old video, I've still got my notes here. Where is it? Well, I did have my notes. You notice when you want things just disappear. Meridian, basically, the mer meant to rub away or harm or die. So you can just see why, and that's what puzzles me when I made that video and I looked at the etymology of that. These dragon lines, these ley lines, is basically why did they choose this little island as the navel, as the centre, where time begins and ends. That's where you get that Janice link. Think about it. We are where time begins that way, because I've watched, I don't even which side reversing, but if you talk about east, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 ahead, doesn't it? And then west, through to the States, you go behind us in hours. Beginning and the past and the present and the future. Who is that representing? I've told you, old people talk about Kronos and Saturn just being basically remakes of Janus. And that's why I'm researching, because it's not just I'm getting that pareidolia and seeing things. I'm seeing genuine links, but we all can make these genuine links of anything, and that's why I ask and show you guys. I'm a writer here, because we all have our different perspective. So it's just so funny that we're looking at Albion being the world above and the supernatural. Could that be why the flag is that colour, and not because Genoa basically gave them and they paid for it? And then when you start looking at it a little bit different, you understand, yes, you could be. I mean, tie that into how I break it down. Albion, AL can be Romanized and moved to change to EL. Straight away, you have L. And you look at the definition, and it could be Lord, Master, it can be God, group of gods, Elohims. And then you got the L, and then Bion, and Bion meant life, force, the living one. Your head just explodes with, whoa. And there's people out now screaming different things, because, again, I can't put everything together. That's why we need you and me and others, because we put the little pieces together and things start making sense. So you have God, the living one. And then you get verses like, I am the living one. I was dead and now alive. Now look, I am alive forever and ever, and I hold the keys of death and Hades. And in my old videos when I did on hell and heaven, I showed you that even when Jesus went to hell to get the keys, he was shown carrying that flag. And now it's just making sense. Is that flag representing the corporation, cooperation, when you cooperate together? Am I saying that right? Hope so. You know what I mean? When you supposedly together, is it talking about the realms? The realm of the supernatural, the natural, the supernatural, the other world is the red, together with the white, which is so-called what the purity, but could it be the living? It just has me that excited. I just don't know where to go, especially with them verses tying in. And you now have the world above, and then you also, my breakdown, God the living one. Wow. And then you got all these ancient folklore tales of, obviously, High Brazil, the king of the world living on that island, and different things. And it's like, it's just so crazy how all these things seem to connect. And that's what I got excited about, this connection of, and again, this is just how my brain works. You guys would look at the same information and take it another way. As soon as I started talking about Albion and that flag, it went straight to the City of London because of the connection. So you obviously the significance of God, the living one, and the world above. And me asking, is this flag a representation of us and Arwen, or Anun, the other world, supernatural? Mind blown. Hopefully you guys, you see this significant, because I'm not one to big myself up. I'm not. I'm just me. I'm just like you guys. I'm intrigued, but I can tell you, if someone with a big following posted this stuff, everyone will be raving about it. But a lot of my videos just go under the radar. It's like people are not ready for that information. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. So when we're talking about all these things together, and the transitioning from this, it just makes sense of why time, the calendars, the seafaring people use this 0 degrees on it. It just didn't make sense because other countries had it and it just came to here. It's like, oh yeah, we'll all agree that this is where the centre is. that just makes you go, wow, why? But why? I'm like, why? And now doing this video, I'm starting to get a little bit of understanding of it. It's just what you think, which one you took it, because obviously you also had Albion being a form of Albina, the princess from either Greece or Syria, and the tale of her saying, I don't like the husband you picked for me, I'm going to murder him. All the sisters, they agree, we're going to murder him, set bar one. So it's like 29 or 30, whatever you want to say. It is just, and that is where Albion came from. And she basically, they all got taken in the night by Succubi or Incubi, and they bred giants. So that's where the tale of that came from. But they were tall ladies. Is that the connection? Who knows? I'm not saying it's either one or the other. I'm just putting down as a collection, and I'm making and looking at you guys at home looking, what is he on? But that's just how I am. That's just how my brain works. I don't get offended. If I look at something, he says, right, it's a furry folk, and I see a lot of information, I'll say, that's what it's saying, it's a furry folk. I don't get scared or put off if I look daft. I just see it as information and follow the puzzle, and my brain works a certain way and puts them together in that way. You will put it together in a different way and come to a different conclusion. That's the beauty of it, because none of us are right, none of us are wrong. It's just how we see, and that's the magic in us. We then reflect our surroundings, this world around us, based on that input. So you had that, Albion, God the Living One, the world above, the links with Albina. And as I was finishing making this video, Juicy and Lucy said, hey, look at that, David Icke made a video on Albion. I think it was done a few years ago. But it just came on the timeline. But I've just watched it briefly. I'm not a fan, but I was just looking to see what he said, if any of this come out, and he didn't, thank God. But he emphasises on, it's the heart of the world, like the navel. But what is another word for the other world, like the supernatural stag, the white stag? Or any colour, but it's a stag. I'm assuming it was white, if I remember the video. It was heart. That's the old name. But not spelt the same. It's H-A-R-T. But can you see the link? When these people are talking, it's the heart. It's funny that it's like the stag. I remember doing this post and just saying years ago, the saying, all the world is a stage and we're merely actors, players and actors. Stage is an anagram of gates. But I just took it off and put once. Some people who have followed me for a while will remember. I just put, all the world is a stag. And I don't know why I did it years ago. It's weird how it works. So then we have that. Then you have the links, again, of these Albina sisters being 29, which is 11, or the 33, which is 3 11s, and being the boroughs of London. I've done an old video on the City of London many, many times ago on the banking system, and I just couldn't help but see the connection. The banking system, City of London, has Genoa's flag. Like, was it Genoa? And they brought the banking system over there, and that's what become of that. Again, that's why I'm asking, is it this other world and this reality together, cooperating, being the corporation, and is a board with supernatural beings, and what we loosely call humans? I'm like, wow. But that Janice link cannot be ignored. There's people talking about how Noah's sons, Japheth, and Ham came over here in whatever guise. I just saw it when I was researching it. And I'm like, descendants of Noah. Janice is known as Noah. Now, it can be a different Noah, but when you put all the connections of being, both these Noahs are known as the first shipbuilder. So you can see it's one and the same. Then you have the tie to the banking system with Genoa and Janice. The flag. Him being a giant. and you're like, you know, what is going on? Because we talk about this being the land of the giants, the land that the giants built, but now you've got the furry folk and other things that would be in that other world living together side by side. It now makes sense, because when we're talking about this realm and that realm, is it just a case of the frequency phase? You know, humans produce a certain frequency that lets you attach yourself in the magic, the word. Because think about it, if you want to go off that, in the beginning was the word. So God, what was this word? Someone will know, I'm assuming. But what was the word? What did he say? He created it, the word. So what was that word? But if you think about magic, then there's been cymatics and attaching a symbol, and we're using that veil between as magic for both. It's crazy thinking of it like that, and the adaptation, and watching all these films of the furry realm and different things. My mind always goes back to that old clip that I've used many times in Hellboy, when he go to the furry market and he couldn't see, but he put his glasses on. So is it a case of this? We just face to this reality because we have to label things to stick in this frequency. And when people don't stick to the frequency, you start to see shit. And I've seen many, many weird shit. From fucking like the invisible predator, when it's invisible, the camouflage, walk past my car. And I went, what did I just see? And I've told you this many times, and people have seen far more crazy shit than me. Is this just us being them beings that we can adapt, pick up these frequencies and see this crazy shit? Because everything is just living side by side. You know, and I want to leave it there because my mind's ready to go in on all places. But I just wanted to show you how, if you look into the magic spells of words, words, swords, you can find things that can just make sense. And this just makes sense. I've been always wondering why it seems this place is so important to everything. Why have the GMT? Why have the latitude and longitude, the meridian for here? And now it makes sense, because could this be the convergence? If you think about whatever map you want to think of in your head of these ley lines, because this cross represent the ley lines, the dragon lines, and just where it's converge is the meridian, or the axis mundi, whatever you want to call it. I just find that fascinating. Then obviously I forgot to mention, then I came across that bit about Noah being red and white, being an albino again, and coming his lineage coming to this island is that why it's red and white, to represent him, aka Janice. And then the banking system followed, and in the bank there is a mosaic of Janice. There's just too many connections, and people like, oh god, not something else mentioned Janice again. But if I see it, I have to show you. And one of these days, people will take it on board. It's just mind-blowing. So I didn't want to go off and look at other things around. I mean, I saw places of old landmarks. You know, we call them boroughs in America, you call them states. But there used to be a place called Met. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to go start shooting off. There was things that, when I'm researching this, Arwayne, the god of the underworld, and people talk about in movies and games to show the truth. It's literally spelled, they're putting it out there. But I didn't want to use it because when I was researching, I got so excited because it talked about Arwen having a black sword. I'm like, yeah, it's very exciting, because then that would attach then to, obviously, it's supposedly St. Paul's sword in the city of London, and it, you know, that was the sword that was used. But finding it was just in a game that Arwen had a black sword, because at state funerals and important people, they whip out what is known as the mourning sword. It's a black sword. Even the Queen, when Maggie Thatcher died, and other people, Churchill and different things, had this sword being wielded out. You know what I mean? So there's other things like that that I didn't put in, because yes, it was connected, but it was a game and I didn't want to do that. And then in the old videos, a representative of the City of London stands behind the House of Commons, behind the guy on the chair, the Speaker, and his name is the Remembrancer. I mean, come on, are they remembering about this corporation? It just makes you think about all the people going missing, and because I want to see the goodness in a lot of things, but there is evil out there. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. It's inspired me, and thank you to Juicy and Lucy for giving me the inspiration indirectly by seeing their posts and seeing Albion, and just looking at that word Albion to being the world above, because that tied straight into my cave theory and hourglass theory of lands just below low. Then when I broke it down, I found it meant to be the living one, God the living one. You have then all the talk of Satan and dragging lines and being tied down for 1,000 years and coming back. So all this talk inspires me to look into it deeper. And all the Janice links, Noah links. I mean, who's in charge of that realm? And that realm, as above, so below, is the organisation known as Noah, Noaa. Guys, people just need to look into this and see what I've been posting for several years is right in your face. So guys, if you've loved the video, please give it a like, share it, tell people about this crazy guy who's talking now of, yes, the English flag is akin to the supernatural and this world being in a corporation. This is just how my brain works. I'm not saying it's fact. So please like it, share and subscribe it. If you are on Twitter, that some of you are, come on, give us a follow. Come on. I have a really respectful following of great people. Come on Twitter and help me stay on there. And if you want to help the channel out more, you can do so by buying me a coffee or a bar as I call it. The QR code is there and link will be in the description. So again, thank you to all. I know this time is hard for some because sometimes people haven't got family, and hopefully, in some strange way that I can help people who are bored to watch some of my content. And much love to you all, and I will see you again soon. Remember, don't let the bar stools grind us down. Bye guys. Bye.